Welcome to the program. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Mark Goldberg from Mark Vlogs Watches, and this morning is going to be a brief video where I sort of laugh about the fact that the Tiffany OP41 has been discontinued because I told you good people that was going to happen back in November of last year. And then I'll also show you some of the new introductions that I like. It's not been the greatest year for excitement in Rolex releases, but there's a couple of things that I like, and so we will talk about that stuff. But first, permit me to brag just for a moment about my prediction that emanated from November of last year that the Tiffany or turquoise Rolex OP41 would be discontinued. I did get that right. I begged you people to listen to me if you wanted one because I figured it was going to be your last hurrah. And in fact, I was not only right about that, but I was unintentionally accidentally more right than I expected. Because here's what I thought. When I was telling you in November that if you want one at 18, I figured you would have a few months to get that done. Little did I know that shortly after that, Patek would come out with the Tiffany collaboration and release the Tiffany colored Nautilus, which the first one sold at auction for $6 million, as we know. But as an unintended consequence of that, the Rolex Tiffany went, stupid. Okay, guys, I know it's the turquoise, not the Tiffany, but you know what I mean. But what that did was it shot the Rolex turquoise OP41 up to around 50, 55 briefly. Then it settled back in around 30, 35. For those of you who say that's asking, it was never selling for that. Well, I do know I turned down $20,000 one week for the OP41, my turquoise one, from a legitimate reseller, and then the very next week he offered me $25,000. So if he was going to pay me $25,000, he was going to sell it for $35,000. Anyway, what has happened now is that the OP41 in turquoise is discontinued, although it is still showing on the Rolex website in the 36 millimeter size. But I'll tell you what, guys, I don't think any of you are going to see that, which is a shame. It's a beautiful color. I wish it was actually available, but it's showing, but I think only a few of them are going to get released, which is to say it's not happening. Also, a couple of other colors were discontinued, not only in the 41 size, but across all platforms of size, and that would include the coral red, the yellow, and the green. So I think that these watches are now going to pass into history. What do I think is going to happen to prices? Well, I think they're going to rocket and roller coaster all over the place for a while, and then I think they'll settle down. Where they're going to end up, boy, man, this is a really hard thing to predict, but I think they're going to jump up to the 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, super fast, and then maybe they'll settle in around 40 and then start a slow incremental climb. And boy, I think the real value in those watches is going to come not in the next couple of years, but maybe 10 years out when there is nostalgia set up for them. So I think it's very cool what they've done. But of course, now the OP41 line has got far fewer interesting colors. So I look forward maybe to getting a bright blue one, but there's nothing super exciting in the OP line anymore. Kind of sad, but that's Rolex. Now this year there is not a ton new, but this GMT is a giant exception to the rule. Rolex have come out with a couple of really crazy unique things regarding this particular new GMT. So the first thing is its left-hand drive. The crown guards and the crown are on the left, and the Cyclops has moved from the right side of the dial to the left side of the dial. And the bezel is in Cerachrome, which is Rolex speak for ceramic. The Cerachrome bezel is green on the bottom and black on the top. So, boy, it is interesting. It is different. It is unlike anything that we've seen in the way of GMT from Rolex before. And I almost don't know what to think about it, but I can tell you this. Your reaction is certainly going to be, ugh, this is stupid. I don't like it. It's ugly. And I think that that's going to be, it's definitely its first appeal. But I'll tell you guys, if you get a shot at getting one, you better snap it up because this thing is going to be impossible to get. And I further predict, you heard it here first, I give this watch 2-3 years, and then I think Rolex just going to discontinue it. I don't think it's going to be around very long. My own personal opinion is that it's very unique. I'm glad to see it on the Oyster bracelet. Honestly, I don't know. Tell me in the comments, could you swap that out for a Jubilee? I don't remember if they're offering it in Jubilee or only on the Oyster. Also, what are we going to call it? Man, we have the Batman, so would we be calling this one the Riddler? Would we be calling it the Kermit GMT? Personally, I like the Green Hornet if we're going to come up with a name, so that's my vote, but let me know what you guys think. I could tell you of all the new introductions, this is the one that I would probably put in my top 3 or 4 that I would like to acquire. Now, I think your opinion of it is going to be fairly negative because what I know is the more radical stuff that Rolex does, just like those OPs in radical colors, initial reaction is, I don't like it. But then what happens is you start to see it on social media, and 6 months later, after you've seen a picture of the darn thing 500 times, it starts growing on you, and then you want one. So I'll tell you what, guys, if you want this one, you better hurry. You've got maybe a month before it becomes unobtainable. This geometric pattern, optical illusion looking blue 41 millimeter Datejust has been available. This dial has been available on the 36 millimeter, but it's newly introduced now for the 41. I do like it, and the Datejusts typically have been a little more available than other models. The problem has been, though, that the interesting dial on the Datejusts, the various interesting dials, are the hardest ones to get, and I predict that that will make this one tight for supply. If you like it, put an order in for it now. Otherwise, you might be waiting a very, very long time. And finally, we have this beautiful day date in yellow gold with the green dial. I actually had to call Mackenzie, the Rain Man of Rolex, to find out like what's new about this. I thought this one existed, and he told me that this dial existed only in the 36 millimeter version before, and now they have put it into the 40 millimeter version of the day date. That's the one that I like. So this is an expensive watch in the $37,000 range. So this is not an impulse purchase on the one hand. On the other hand, at least the 36 millimeter version of this watch is very hard to get and sells at an enormous premium over retail. So my thinking on this is, just so you know, I don't buy Rolex to flip it. I have literally never sold a Rolex which I have purchased from an authorized dealer. Some that I bought on the gray market have gone back into the gray market, but watches that I bought from an AD, I keep. I've never sold one, and I bought my first one in the middle 80s. This is one I'd like to add to the collection. The whole point of enjoying the fact that a watch sells at a premium, really for me, all that does for me is it says if eventually for some reason I need to liquidate this collection, I will get some minor return on my investment, or more importantly, I won't lose money. Guys, this is Mark Goldberg. Thank you so much for having joined me. I know there will be lots of discussion in the comments about the new Rolex introductions. I will be right there with you. Please remember to throw a like and subscribe on this video, and let's do this again soon. Guys, I'm a dog trainer. Please support me and this channel by buying a copy of my latest book, The Art of Training Your Dog. Hardcover or electronic, you can get it globally. If you're not a dog lover, buy it for someone who is, and subscribe to this channel so we can do this again soon. Throw a like on this video.
Paint the sky.